The Zephyrian scout ship, whisper of stars, drifted silently through the outer reaches of what the galaxy's cartographers had labeled as System 2847 Delta. Commander Vexhai adjusted her sensory array, her four eyes scanning the holographic display that materialized before her elongated form. The system had appeared unremarkable during their preliminary sweep. A young yellow star with several rocky planets and gas giants arranged in predictable orbital patterns. "Another dead system," muttered her navigator, Colvin, his scaled hands dancing across the bio-neural interface. "The Galactic Survey will not be pleased with our progress this cycle." Vexhai was about to agree when her instruments detected something unusual. The third planet from the star registered with atmospheric readings that made her heart skip several beats. Oxygen levels at 21%, nitrogen at 78%, traces of argon, carbon dioxide, and other noble gases. But more importantly, the spectral analysis revealed something that shouldn't exist on a planet this close to its star. Colvin, verify these atmospheric readings immediately. Her navigator's expression shifted from boredom to confusion, then to disbelief. "Commander, the readings are accurate. This planet has a stable oxygen-rich atmosphere, but the electromagnetic signatures indicate massive energy consumption across the surface. The pattern is unlike anything in our databases." What truly caught their attention wasn't the atmosphere alone. It was the artificial electromagnetic radiation bleeding into space. Radio waves, microwave transmissions, and complex digital signals created a chaotic symphony of communication that suggested not just life, but advanced technological civilization. "Impossible," Vexhai whispered. "According to every piece of scientific data accumulated over the past 50,000 years of galactic exploration, life required specific conditions to evolve. The Goldilocks zone was too narrow, too precise. Most importantly, no species had ever been discovered that could survive in such high oxygen concentrations. The element was considered one of the most corrosive and dangerous substances in the universe. The Zephyrians themselves breathed a methane-nitrogen mixture and required environmental suits to survive in anything containing more than 3% oxygen. Every known spacefaring civilization in the galaxy shared similar atmospheric requirements: low oxygen, high noble gas content, and carefully controlled chemical balances. Yet here was a planet absolutely saturated with the deadly gas, and somehow, impossibly, it was teeming with technological activity. "Commander, I'm detecting artificial lighting on the night side of the planet. The patterns suggest massive urban centers. The electromagnetic signatures indicate billions of individual communication devices operating simultaneously." Vexhai ordered her ship to establish a distant observation position behind one of the system's gas giants. Standard protocol demanded immediate contact with the Galactic Council, but something made her hesitate. This discovery would change everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. Using the ship's most sensitive long-range scanners, they began monitoring the planet's communications. The Universal Translation Matrix, a technology developed over millennia of contact between different species, struggled with the complexity and diversity of the signals. Unlike the standardized communication protocols used throughout the galaxy, this planet seemed to host dozens of completely different languages and communication methods operating simultaneously. "How many species do you estimate are living on that planet?" Vexhai asked. "The linguistic analysis suggests—" "This is strange, Commander. The patterns indicate a single species communicating in hundreds of different language systems. But that's impossible. No species develops multiple complex languages. Once a civilization reaches spacefaring capability, linguistic standardization is inevitable for efficient communication." The more they observed, the more questions arose. The planet showed signs of massive industrial activity, but instead of the clean, efficient energy signatures typical of advanced civilizations, they detected crude chemical combustion, atomic fission, and what appeared to be controlled fusion reactions in their early stages. It was as if they were observing a species that had achieved advanced technology through completely different evolutionary paths. Most disturbing of all were the military applications. The planet's surface showed evidence of thousands of weapons capable of planetary destruction, all controlled by what appeared to be competing factions of the same species. Every civilized race in the galaxy had long ago abandoned such destructive capabilities in favor of directed energy weapons and defensive technologies. Commander, I've managed to decode some of their visual transmissions. You need to see this. The holographic display shifted to show images captured from the planet's communication networks. What they saw defied every biological principle they understood. The dominant species appeared to be bipedal, with only 2 eyes, standing roughly 2 meters in height. Their skin showed various pigmentation patterns, and they seemed to require no environmental protection while living in their oxygen-rich atmosphere. More shocking still, they appeared to thrive in environments that would be instantly lethal to any known form of life. Some individuals were shown in frozen polar regions where temperatures dropped far below the freezing point of water. Others operated in desert conditions with surface temperatures that would boil most biological fluids. Some were even shown submerged in their planet's oceans, vast bodies of liquid water covering most of the planetary surface. "They're living in liquid water," Colvin said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Liquid water, Commander. As if it's their natural environment." Throughout the galaxy, water in its liquid form was considered a dangerous solvent, capable of breaking down most known biological compounds. Ice was manageable. Water vapor was tolerable in small concentrations, but liquid water was universally recognized as incompatible with life. Yet these beings seemed to emerge from it, play in it, consume it, and use it for countless industrial and recreational purposes. Their cities were built around massive bodies of liquid water, and their biological scans suggested their bodies contained over 60% water by mass. "Commander, there's more. I've detected their spacefaring capabilities." The scanner revealed primitive but functional spacecraft in orbit around their planet. Unlike the sleek, bio-neural ships used throughout the galaxy, these vessels appeared to be constructed from refined metals and operated using controlled chemical explosions for propulsion. Several had traveled to their planet's single large moon, and unmanned probes had been dispatched throughout their solar system. But what truly amazed the Zephyrian observers was the reckless courage these beings displayed. Their space missions showed individuals willingly sealing themselves inside metal containers and launching into the void using barely controlled explosive reactions. The failure rate of their early space missions was astronomically high by galactic standards, yet they continued attempting increasingly dangerous missions. "They're not just surviving in conditions that should kill them," Vexhai realized. "They're actively seeking out more dangerous environments. Look at these readings. Some of them are deliberately traveling to their planet's polar regions, climbing mountains in near-vacuum conditions, diving to crushing depths in their oceans." The ship's biological scanners revealed even more impossibilities. These beings seemed to have evolved not just to survive in hostile conditions, but to actively thrive when facing challenges. Their stress responses actually improved their physical capabilities rather than degrading them. Their immune systems were apparently capable of adapting to threats in real time, and their muscular and cardiovascular systems grew stronger when subjected to resistance and strain. Most incredible of all, their brains seemed to function more efficiently when facing complex problems or dangerous situations. Every other species in the galaxy had evolved intelligence as a way to avoid danger and maintain comfort. These beings had apparently developed intelligence specifically to seek out and overcome increasingly difficult challenges. "Commander, I found something in their historical records. They've survived multiple extinction-level events on their planet. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, volcanic catastrophes that covered their atmosphere in ash for years. Each time, instead of dying out, they seemed to emerge stronger and more adaptable. Vexhai stared at the data streams flowing across her displays. In 50,000 years of galactic exploration, over 10,000 species had been contacted and integrated into galactic civilization. All of them shared similar evolutionary paths: the development of intelligence to maintain stable, comfortable environments and avoid unnecessary risks. But this species, these humans as they called themselves, represented something entirely new. They had evolved intelligence specifically to overcome hostile environments and seek out new challenges. They lived in conditions that would kill any other known life form, and they seemed to become stronger and more capable when faced with adversity. "Prepare a secure transmission to the Galactic Council," Vexhai ordered, "but encode it with our highest security protocols. This information cannot be allowed to leak until the Council decides how to proceed." As Cole then prepared the transmission, Vexhai continued studying the bewildering data. These humans had achieved technological advancement not through the careful, methodical progress typical of galactic civilizations, but through rapid innovation driven by competition, curiosity, and an apparent addiction to overcoming impossible challenges. They had split atoms not for clean energy, but to create weapons of unimaginable destructive power, then somehow managed to avoid destroying themselves. They had developed biological modifications not for comfort and longevity, but to enhance their ability to survive in even more extreme conditions. They had created artificial intelligences not to reduce their workload, but to help them solve increasingly complex problems. Transmission prepared and sent, Commander. Estimated time for Council response, 4 standard days. Vexhai nodded, but her attention remained focused on the impossible planet below. In 4 days, the most powerful governmental body in the galaxy would learn that everything they thought they knew about life, evolution, and civilization was wrong. The humans had proved that intelligence could evolve not as an escape from hostile conditions, but as a tool to thrive within them. They had shown that complex civilizations could develop in environments previously thought uninhabitable. Most importantly, they had demonstrated that technological advancement could be driven not by the desire for safety and comfort, but by an insatiable hunger for new challenges and greater achievements. As the Whisper of Stars maintained its hidden position, Vexhai realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The discovery of humanity would force every species to reconsider their understanding of life itself, and she suspected that many would find the implications deeply unsettling. These humans didn't just survive in impossible conditions. They had turned survival itself into an art form, constantly pushing the boundaries of what life could endure and achieve. The question that troubled her most was simple. What would happen when beings this adaptable and relentless turned their attention to the stars? The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours of receiving Commander Vexhai's transmission. Representatives from 47 different species gathered in the crystal amphitheater of Kepler Prime, their various atmospheric requirements accommodated by individual environmental fields that shimmered around each delegation. High Chancellor Mordak of the Altrurian Collective called the session to order, her crystalline body resonating with harmonics that the universal translators converted into speech for the diverse assembly. Fellow council members, we face a discovery that challenges the fundamental principles upon which our galactic civilization has been built. The holographic displays around the amphitheater activated, showing the data transmitted from the Whisper of Stars. Gasps, clicks, harmonics, and various other expressions of shock rippled through the assembly as they processed the impossible readings from the third planet of System 2847 Delta. Councillor Thekvar of the silicon-based Crystallans was the first to speak. The atmospheric composition alone should make complex life impossible. 21% oxygen concentration would create a corrosive environment that would break down biological molecules within minutes. "But look at these biosignatures," interrupted Dr. Felnara, the Aquatic Federation's leading xenobiologist. "Not only are they surviving in these conditions, their metabolic processes seem to be enhanced by them. Their energy production is unlike anything we've documented. They're using oxygen as a fuel source, combining it with organic compounds to generate massive amounts of cellular energy." The implications sent waves of unease through the assembly. Every spacefaring civilization had evolved in low-oxygen environments, carefully maintaining atmospheric balances that prevented the rapid oxidation that made complex chemistry impossible. The idea that intelligence could evolve in such a hostile environment contradicted 50,000 years of scientific understanding. Counselor Zix Thara of the Hive Minds raised a concern that troubled many present. If they can survive in such extreme conditions, what does this suggest about their adaptability? Our preliminary analysis indicates they've colonized every environment on their planet, from frozen polar regions to scorching deserts to the crushing depths of their oceans. High Chancellor Mordak directed attention to the military analysis. Perhaps most concerning are their weapons technologies. They've developed the capability to destroy their own planet multiple times over, yet they continue to maintain these arsenals while simultaneously pursuing space exploration. This level of controlled aggression is unprecedented. The assembly of peaceful species, representing over a dozen civilizations that had long ago abandoned all forms of conflict, expressed particular alarm. Their spokesperson, a ethereal being of pure energy named Luminara, flickered with distressed patterns as she communicated. "We have spent millennia proving that intelligence and aggression are incompatible with long-term survival. Yet these beings seem to have weaponized their intelligence while maintaining technological progress. How is this possible?" Dr. Felnara had been analyzing the biological data throughout the session. Her findings painted an even more disturbing picture. Their evolutionary history shows they didn't just survive multiple extinction events. They used each catastrophe as an opportunity for rapid advancement. When faced with climate changes that should have destroyed them, they developed technologies to modify their environment. When threatened by predators, they eliminated entire species while domesticating others for their own purposes. "They've essentially conquered their entire planet," added the representative from the Herbivore Coalition, his plant-like appendages trembling with concern. "Every ecosystem has been modified to serve their needs. They've eliminated most large predators, redirected water systems, modified the atmospheric composition in localized areas, and created artificial environments wherever natural ones didn't suit their purposes." The more the Council learned about humanity, the more unprecedented their development appeared. Unlike every other known species, humans seem to have evolved not just intelligence, but an aggressive curiosity that drove them to constantly seek new challenges and expand their capabilities. Counselor Vorthiak of the Ancient Observers, whose species had been monitoring galactic development for over 100,000 years, provided historical context that chilled the assembly. "In all our recorded observations, we have never encountered a species that combines this level of adaptability with such aggressive expansion tendencies. Most concerning, their technological development rate is accelerating rather than stabilizing." The military analysis revealed capabilities that defied conventional understanding of technological progression. Instead of following the typical path of developing defensive technologies and peaceful energy sources, humans had created increasingly sophisticated methods of destruction while simultaneously advancing in space exploration, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence. They've achieved nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, genetic modification, artificial intelligence, and spaceflight all within the span of roughly 100 years. reported the Technical Assessment Division. This rate of advancement is unprecedented. Most species require millennia to safely develop each of these technologies. Even more troubling was their approach to space exploration. While every galactic civilization had developed space travel through careful, methodical steps designed to minimize risk, humans had literally strapped themselves to controlled explosions and launched into space with minimal safety protocols. Their early space missions showed casualty rates that would have ended any other species' space program, yet they persisted with increasingly ambitious projects. They've landed on their moon multiple times using primitive chemical rockets, reported the Space Technologies Counselor. They've sent unmanned probes throughout their solar system, including missions to investigate every major celestial body. Most remarkably, they're already planning missions to nearby star systems using technologies they haven't even perfected yet. The psychological profiles developed by the Galactic Council's Xenopsychology Department painted a picture of a species unlike any other in recorded history. Humans appeared to be motivated not by the desire for safety and comfort that drove all other intelligent species, but by curiosity, challenge, and an almost compulsive need to explore and overcome obstacles. Their entertainment systems glorify conflict, exploration, and overcoming impossible odds, reported Dr. Keth Mora, the Council's leading expert in alien psychology. Where other species use entertainment to reduce stress and maintain social harmony, humans seem to use it to practice dealing with dangerous and challenging scenarios. The cultural analysis revealed even more anomalies. Instead of developing a single, unified global culture like every other spacefaring species, humans maintained hundreds of different cultural systems, languages, and governmental structures. Rather than seeing this diversity as inefficient, they seemed to use it as a source of innovation and competitive advancement. They actually use competition between different groups as a driver for technological and social progress, Dr. Kethamora continued. This is completely contrary to every known model of social development. Competition should lead to resource depletion and social collapse, not advancement. High Chancellor Mordak called for a brief recess as the Council processed the implications. When the session resumed, the debate centered on a critical question. How should the galactic community respond to the discovery of humanity? The isolationist coalition, representing species that preferred minimal contact with other civilizations, advocated for immediate quarantine. This species represents a potential threat to galactic stability, argued their leader. Their aggressive expansion tendencies, combined with their adaptability and rapid technological development, could destabilize the careful balance we've maintained for millennia. The Progressive Alliance disagreed. This species could revolutionize our understanding of life itself. Their biological adaptations alone could provide solutions to challenges that have plagued our civilizations for thousands of years. We should establish contact immediately and begin cultural and scientific exchange. The debate continued for hours, with various factions presenting arguments for different approaches. Some wanted to observe humanity from a distance until they developed interstellar travel capabilities. Others suggested immediate intervention to guide their development along safer paths. A few radical voices even proposed that humanity represented such a fundamental threat to galactic order that preemptive action might be necessary. Dr. Felnara presented a biological analysis that shifted the entire discussion. Based on their evolutionary history and current development patterns, isolation may not be possible. Their space exploration programs suggest they will develop interstellar travel capabilities within the next few centuries. More importantly, their rate of technological advancement means they could potentially develop technologies we've never encountered. "What do you mean?" asked High Chancellor Mordak. "Their approach to problem-solving is completely different from ours. Where we develop technologies through careful, methodical research designed to maintain safety and stability, they innovate through what they call trial and error, combined with competitive pressure. This chaotic approach occasionally produces breakthrough innovations that skip entire developmental stages. The implications were staggering. If humans continued their current rate of advancement while maintaining their aggressive curiosity and competitive nature, they could potentially develop technologies that would give them significant advantages over established galactic civilizations. They've already developed primitive artificial intelligences using methods completely different from our bioneural approaches, Dr. Felnara continued. Their computer technologies are based on principles we never considered because we thought they were too dangerous, yet somehow they're making them work. Counselor Zixathera raised the question that many were thinking, but few wanted to voice. What happens if they develop faster-than-light travel using these unconventional methods? What happens when beings this adaptable and aggressive gain access to interstellar space? The question hung in the artificial atmosphere of the chamber like a toxic cloud. Every member of the council understood the implications. For 50,000 years, galactic civilization had been built on principles of peaceful cooperation, careful technological development, and species that shared similar evolutionary paths and psychological profiles. Humanity represented something entirely new, a species that had turned survival itself into an aggressive art form, that thrived in conditions that should kill them, and that approached every challenge as an opportunity for growth rather than a problem to be avoided. High Chancellor Mordak called for an initial vote on whether to continue monitoring humanity or to establish immediate contact. The results would determine not just humanity's future, but potentially the future of galactic civilization itself. As the votes were tallied, one thing became clear to every member of the council. The discovery of humanity had changed everything. Whether that change would benefit or threaten the galaxy remained to be seen. But there was no returning to the universe they had known before Commander Vex-High's fateful transmission. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when you encountered a species that had evolved not just to survive, but to conquer every challenge the universe could present. For better or worse, the age of human expansion was about to begin. The vote was closer than anyone expected, 24 in favor of immediate contact, 23 for continued observation. The deciding factor came from an unexpected source, the ancient observers, whose species had remained neutral in galactic politics for over 50,000 years. Counselor Vorthak stood slowly, his ancient form supported by gravitational fields that compensated for his species' extreme longevity. In 100,000 years of observation, we have never encountered a species like these humans. We have watched civilizations rise and fall, seen technologies develop and stagnate, observed the careful patterns that govern intelligent life throughout the galaxy. But these beings represent something entirely new. His words carried the weight of eons. We have learned that avoiding the unknown does not make it disappear. If we do not establish contact with humanity now, under controlled circumstances, they will find us eventually. And when they do, it will be on their terms, not ours. The decision was made. First contact would be initiated, but under the most careful protocols ever developed. A joint task force representing 12 different species would approach Earth with the most advanced diplomatic, scientific, and defensive technologies available. Commander Vex-High was assigned to lead the contact mission, her discovery having earned her the responsibility of managing humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. The task force assembled at Kepler Prime over the following weeks, representing the most diverse and well-equipped expedition in galactic history. The approach to Earth took place over several months, with the fleet maintaining positions beyond human detection capabilities while finalizing contact protocols. During this time, they continued monitoring human communications and activities, their amazement growing with each new observation. "They've just launched another space mission," reported Dr. Felnara, who had joined the expedition as chief xenobiologist. "They're sending humans to establish a permanent base on their moon, and they're planning missions to their neighboring planets within the next few decades. Their space program advancement is accelerating. Even more impressive was humanity's response to the challenges of space exploration. Instead of being deterred by the obvious dangers and technical difficulties, they seemed to become more determined with each obstacle they encountered. Their space agencies were simultaneously developing multiple different approaches to interplanetary travel, competing with each other in ways that drove rapid innovation. They're not just building one type of spacecraft, observed the fleet's technical analyst. They're experimenting with chemical rockets, ion drives, nuclear propulsion, and what appears to be early attempts at electromagnetic manipulation of space-time. They're trying everything simultaneously. The diversity of human approaches to problem-solving continued to astonish the observers. Unlike galactic civilizations that develop technologies through centralized research programs designed to minimize risk, humans seem to thrive on having multiple competing groups working on the same problems using completely different methods. Their competitive approach is actually accelerating their technological development, Dr. Felnara noted. When one group achieves a breakthrough, all the others rapidly adapt and improve upon it. Instead of the careful, methodical progress we're accustomed to, they're advancing through what appears to be controlled chaos. The time for first contact arrived on a Tuesday morning in what humans called the North American continent. The task force selected a location far from major population centers, but close enough to ensure rapid communication with human governments. The landing site was a remote desert region where their ships would be visible but wouldn't cause immediate panic. Commander Vexahai's vessel descended first, its bio-neural hull adapting to provide minimal visual impact. The ship settled gently onto the sandy ground, followed by two smaller craft carrying the scientific and diplomatic teams. Within hours, human aircraft appeared on the horizon. The response was faster and more coordinated than anyone had anticipated. Instead of the chaotic panic they had expected, human military and scientific organizations had tracked their descent and deployed response teams with remarkable efficiency. "They've surrounded us," reported Colden, monitoring human communications. "But they're not taking aggressive action. They're establishing a perimeter and bringing in what appears to be scientific equipment and diplomatic personnel." The humans' first communication attempts impressed the entire task force. Instead of using a single communication method, they simultaneously attempted contact through radio waves, mathematical sequences, pictographic representations, musical tones, and even physical symbols arranged on the ground near the landing site. "They're trying every possible communication method they can think of," observed the task force's linguist. "They're not assuming we'll understand any particular approach, so they're using all of them simultaneously." When the universal translator finally synchronized with human languages, the first exchange would be remembered throughout galactic history. Commander Vex-High, equipped with an environmental suit that allowed her to survive in Earth's corrosive atmosphere, approached the human contact team. The lead human representative, Dr. Sarah Chen from the United Nations First Contact Protocol Division, stepped forward without hesitation. Her willingness to approach an obviously alien being impressed everyone watching the encounter. "Welcome to Earth," she said simply. "We have been hoping for this day." The phrase "hoping for this day" puzzled the translation systems. Most species' first contact experiences were characterized by fear, caution, or confusion. Humans seemed to have been actively anticipating contact with alien life and preparing for it. "You were expecting us?" Commander Vex-High asked. Dr. Chen smiled, an expression that the task force's behavioral analysts found both fascinating and unsettling. "We've been scanning space for radio signals from other civilizations for decades. We've been trying to send messages to the stars, hoping someone would hear us. Many of us have believed that intelligence must exist throughout the galaxy. We've just been waiting for confirmation." This response contradicted every model of first contact psychology. Species typically required extended preparation periods to accept the existence of alien intelligence. Humans seemed to have already integrated the possibility into their worldview and were eager to proceed with contact. The following weeks of formal first contact proceedings amazed everyone involved. Instead of the careful, gradual introduction process typically required for newly contacted species, humans immediately began asking detailed questions about galactic civilization, technology, and the possibility of joining interstellar communities. "They want to know everything," reported Dr. Kethamora, who had joined the expedition to study human psychology. "Most species require months or years to accept the reality of galactic civilization. Humans are asking about trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, and technology sharing within days of first contact." Even more impressive was their approach to the obvious technological disparities. Instead of being overwhelmed or discouraged by the advanced technologies demonstrated by the task force, humans immediately began trying to understand and improve upon them. "They've already started reverse engineering our basic technologies," reported the technical team, "not copying them, understanding the principles and finding ways to improve or adapt them using their own technological approaches." Dr. Chen and her team proposed something unprecedented: immediate integration into galactic civilization as equal partners rather than as a developing species, requiring guidance and protection. "We understand we have a lot to learn," she explained during one of the formal sessions. "But we also believe we have things to offer. Our approaches to problem-solving and technological development might be valuable to galactic civilization, just as your knowledge and experience will be valuable to us." The confidence and equality-based approach surprised everyone. Most newly contacted species spent decades in junior partnership roles, gradually earning acceptance into galactic communities. Humans were requesting immediate recognition as equals despite their obvious technological disadvantages. Commander Vex High found herself in daily communication with the Galactic Council, reporting developments that no one had anticipated. Human society had adapted to first contact with an ease that defied all previous models of social psychology. Instead of widespread panic or social disruption, human communities had rapidly organized to maximize learning opportunities and establish beneficial relationships with their galactic visitors. "They're not just adapting to first contact," she reported. "They're optimizing it. Every human organization wants to be involved. Their scientific institutions are sharing all their research freely. Their governments are cooperating in ways they apparently never have before. And their industrial sectors are already developing products they think might be valuable in galactic markets." The most significant development came when human scientists, working with data shared by the task force, made their first breakthrough in galactic-level technology. Instead of simply copying alien designs, they had improved upon a basic energy storage device using principles from their own technological development. "Impossible," declared the task force's chief engineer. "They've increased the efficiency of a standard power cell by 15% using methods we never considered. How did they even think to try this approach?" Dr. Chen's explanation became the most quoted statement in galactic diplomatic history. "We've always believed that every problem has multiple solutions. When you show us how you solved something, our first instinct isn't to copy your solution, it's to understand why it works and see if we can find a better way." Within 6 months of first contact, human delegations were traveling to other worlds as full participants in galactic civilization. Their adaptability to alien environments, previously thought impossible, allowed them to visit planets that had been considered uninhabitable by most galactic species. The transformation of galactic civilization began almost immediately. Human approaches to problem-solving, their competitive but cooperative innovation methods, and their eagerness to take on challenges that other species avoided began influencing development throughout the galaxy. "They're not just joining our civilization," observed High Chancellor Mordak during an emergency council session. "They're changing it. Their presence is causing innovation rates to increase across multiple sectors." The changes weren't limited to technology. Human concepts of competitive cooperation, their approach to diversity as a source of strength rather than a problem to be managed, and their treatment of challenges as opportunities rather than threats began influencing social development throughout the galaxy. Within 2 years, human colonies had been established on 17 different worlds, each one becoming a center of innovation and development that benefited not just humanity, but all the species they worked with. Humans had become not just members of galactic civilization, but catalysts that were transforming it into something new and more dynamic. The discovery that had initially terrified the Galactic Council, that intelligence could evolve in hostile conditions and thrive on challenges rather than avoiding them, had become galactic civilization's greatest asset. Humanity had proven that the universe contained possibilities that no one had imagined, and their presence was inspiring every species to reconsider their own potential. Commander Vexhai, now serving as the first human galactic cultural exchange coordinator, often reflected on her initial discovery. She had expected to find another standard civilization following predictable patterns of development. Instead, she had found a species that would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about life, intelligence, and the possibilities contained within the universe. The final entry in her official report would become the foundation for a new era of galactic exploration and development. Humanity has proven that the universe contains infinite possibilities for life and intelligence. Our greatest error was believing we had discovered them all. Our greatest opportunity is learning what else we haven't yet imagined.